On a freezing January night in 2022, Boston police officer John O'Keefe was found dying in the snow outside a fellow officer's home. His longtime girlfriend, Karen Reed, was soon accused of his murder. Over the next 3 years, this case would divide an entire community, put prosecutors against citizen bloggers, and raise shocking questions about justice. This is the story of Karen Reed and John O'Keefe. January 28, 2022, John O'Keefe and Karen Reed spent the night out drinking. Later, they drove to a gathering in a fellow officer's home in Canton. By morning, O'Keefe lay unconscious in the snow, just feet from the front door. He was declared dead shortly before 8 a.m. The autopsy revealed blunt force trauma to the head, along with hypothermia. But how exactly he ended up there, that would become one of Massachusetts' most explosive mysteries. Just days later, Karen Reed was charged with manslaughter, motor vehicle homicide, and leaving the scene of an accident. Prosecutors claimed she had struck O'Keefe with her SUV while intoxicated and then left him to die in the cold. But the charges soon escalated to second-degree murder. The defense, however, told a very different story. They argued O'Keefe was beaten inside the house that night, possibly bitten by a dog, and then placed outside, while investigators rushed to protect their own. The first trial began in April of 2024. Testimony was heated, evidence was contested, and the defense alleged a massive cover-up by local law enforcement. But after weeks of deliberation, the jury could not agree. On July 1st, 2024, a mistrial was declared. The case would return to court the following year. Meanwhile, outside the courtroom, the case became a meteor storm. Blogger Aidan Kearney, also known as Turtle Boy, launched a series of viral posts calling the case a Canton cover-up. His reporting questioned the integrity of investigators and turned Karen Reed's trial into a true crime obsession. Kearney himself would later face witness intimidation charges, but his work fueled public doubt about the state's version of events. The retrial began in April of 2025. Prosecutors doubled down. They claimed Reed was drunk, furious after a night of drinking, and deliberately left O'Keefe in the snow. The defense countered there was no collision. They argued the investigation was flawed, evidence mishandled, and Reed was being framed. In a pivotal moment, the prosecution introduced O'Keefe's sweater, claiming it proved there was no dog attack, but the defense pointed out the garment had been mishandled for months before testing. On June 18, 2025, after 4 days of deliberation, the jury delivered its decision: not guilty of murder, not guilty of manslaughter, not guilty of leaving the scene. Karen Reed was convicted only of operating a vehicle under the influence. Her sentence, 1 year probation. As Reed walked free, the crowd outside erupted. Some celebrated her vindication, and others, including O'Keefe's friends, mourned what they saw as a grave injustice. In her first public interview after the trial, Karen Reed described slowly reclaiming her life, saying she feels a little brighter each week. She has also hinted at legal action against those she says tried to frame her. For some, the verdict closed a chapter. For others, the case remains unsolved, the truth still buried beneath the snow. 3 years, 2 trials, a nation divided. Was this justice served or justice denied? That's for you to decide.